Hello and welcome everybody to the Hobby CNC with Dave show. In case you're wondering why the comments from my sidekick say RM, it's because I've got this guy is standing in for my buddy Ryan, who is having some trouble with his elbow or something. I think swinging too many hammers or something like that. But anyway, got a good show for you tonight. My guest tonight is Stacy Gilbert from G3 CNC, and he's got a lot of cool things to talk about tonight. So, without further ado, let's bring him on in here.
Good evening.
How you doing, Stacy?
I'm great. How are y'all doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. I have. Well, first, let me just let you kind of, because there may be some folks out there that don't know who you are and what you do and all that.
Right.
So I'm going to give you a shot to tell folks a little bit about yourself real quick. So go ahead and do that.
All right. Well, I've been a long time in sales. My background has been in commercial construction and sales and steel fabrication, rebar fabrication, and now I work for a steel company and I do some programming, CNC programming on three huge plasma CNC high def tables, and we do a lot of fabrication work and high volume part production and everything. And I've always had an itch for the CNC. And when Xylotex kind of went out, I kind of felt like I wanted to do something for the hobbyist and started seeing how to put things together, and that's what I did. And when we came out with our first controller, the original G3 CNC with the USB connection, there was I've kind of told a lot of customers this in the past, but originally I kind of compare it to cars. There's always been a kind of an entry level thing and then a top high end car, but nothing in between as far as your motion controller boards go. And so we picked one out that kind of did everything that was an entry level one. And at the time, I looked really hard at the Gecko, and I looked really hard at UC CNC products and also at the Pokey products, and talked to all of them. And and I don't fault them, because any company I think is like this. They're not much interested in talking to somebody that is thinking about starting a business and that sort of thing. So we use the USB board that's in the current model, and that's what we started with. And after about a year, I went back to them and just kind of kept studying it over the year, and went back to them. And they were, since I was established and everything, they were more interested in talking to me the second time around.
Mm-hmm.
So we um, got together and I created some more products. And the last one I'm going to talk about is the teeth unit and everything. But um, and after being in business for a little over a year now, and having a lot of sales and building and putting out a lot of units, a lot of questions that come up. And so we've been very busy trying to create and have created several new products and everything that you've been kind enough to let me come on and show everybody, and show what's about to be added to the website and available for purchase here soon.
Yeah, I know. For I guess now for 2 months or 3 months, maybe, you go to your website and the first thing you see is that little entry thing that pops up
Right,
that says
right.
you've got three new products coming soon. So I have been anxiously awaiting to uh, to see what those are. And you kind of, I kind of know a little bit because we've talked before, and
Right.
so I had a little bit of an idea what you're going to show us tonight. But I'm anxious to get started talking about them and show them off here. So where do you want to start?
Well, actually, three kind of evolved into four, and the first one that I wanted to show is a brand new touch probe, touch off plate probe that I came up with. The original ones that I've been selling and using, which there's nothing wrong with them. These little, I call them a little hockey puck because that's what they
Hmm.
look like, is a little hockey puck. They're good and they do a good job, but they're small. They're only about maybe an inch and an eighth in diameter from the outside edge to outside edge. And so I've had a few complaints about they got to stop and keep moving it to get it right underneath the bit as it's coming down and everything. And another look complaint of things that have happened is, when you're walking around a table in your shop, we've all tripped over extension cords and that sort of thing, and people have hung these cords and pulled them, and they use such a thin gauge. I don't know, it's either like a 26 or 28 gauge wire that's connected into the backside of these, that they break loose and come out. And I've replaced several of these, and what I thought I'd do, and what I did was came up with this one here. And what this is a solid piece of 6061 aluminum. It's a half-inch rugged piece of aluminum that's got a clear anodized coating on it, and it's an inch and a half wide and 3 inches long. So it's plenty big enough, and I think it's going to solve the problem. You can throw it down there and probably eyeball it and get it pretty close to where it needs to be when your z-axis is coming down and you go to touch it off. And what I like about it is I've been able to use our 18 gauge shielded cable wire and connect directly to the block of aluminum. And the only solder joint is this one that holds the alligator clip that's going to clip on to your bit on your router when it comes down. And with all the wiring on everything that you get from G3 CNC on the motor cables and all of the connection cables, I use shielded cable on everything. I mean, I don't. It's a few cents cheaper to buy it unshielded, but for the mess that can cause, I just pay the extra and try to add the value, and I ship out everything with shielded cables. It's just something you need and should have. So this is the first new product, and what I like about it. And Dave, I know your background in steel too, and you know this. If you knock this piece of aluminum off onto the floor and everything, if you get a little dent or something in it, you can take it and file it down and go on about your business, because aluminum
Hmm.
is a soft metal and everything. So I like it. There's no increase in cost. The original touch plate sold for this one here sold for $20 on the website, with the wiring and the GX16 two pin connector. Same price. I'm not selling these things for any more. These are going to be $20 a piece as well. And I like adding value where I can with my products. And this was an area that I thought that I could add some value and still keeping the hobbyist from not paying anything more for it. So
Hmm.
um, that's the first one right there, is the new touch off probe, and these are available for sale right now. Um, One of the very first questions that I got from actually the very first person that bought one from me was, is there any way? Because your kit, Dave, your motor mounts are made to work with DeWalt spindle, and a lot of people asked, said, well, is there any way that I can control my regular wood router um, through Mach 3 and be able to turn it on without having to plug it in, throw the switch to turn it off and everything? And at the time, the answer was no. But I've gotten that question over and over again over the past year, and so that was one of the things that I wanted to focus on and see what I could do to make happen here and everything. And what we came up with um, is this right here. This is the new G3 CNC accessory controller. And to go over some quick specs with it right fast, this thing is 9 inches long. It's 4 3/4 inches tall to the top of the box, and the depth is 5 3/4 inches. It's made out of this is 1/2 inch birch plywood, basically the same pure bond grade that you use on all of your router components, Dave.
Hmm.
And the reason why I decided to build this one out of this is, one, the metal boxes are pretty expensive, but it gives you a chance to stain it up and seal it, which is what I did. I stained this one to the same color as I did my Gatton CNC, but they'll come to you bare. If I can flip it over and let you see that, it's going to be just a bare wood and everything. But what I did when I was thinking this thing through, one, to start with, I didn't want any cables or anything like that hanging out of it. So I paid the extra money to add value to it and went with the panel mount plug-ins. And these are 15 amp, 120 volt plugs, receptacle plugs. So they'll handle most wood routers, which will run around 11, 12 amps of current and everything. So they'll handle that. There's two on the inside. There's two solid state relays in there with heat sinks that's attached to them. You got two power light indicators up here, one for each output. And also to help keep the cooling on the solid state relays, we went the extra mile and added a 60 millimeter electric fan, 24 volt electric fan. And that thing puts out around 18 cubic feet per minute, which is ample enough to keep this thing cool on the inside. And there's also an exhaust vent hole on the other side that's got the fan guard on it there as well. And basically what this thing will do, we got our typical wire glands that we use on the front of the machine to lock the cables in. And I really love these things. This is another thing that I added to my unit. And you notice when you get my units, my emergency stop, there's a wire gland on the front of it that locks the cable that comes out of there. And I love these things because, again, as you walk through your shop or your garage or wherever you get your CNC, like I said, if you're like me, you're gonna wind up tripping over and catching a cord. And I like these little wire glands because they lock the wire in. And when this thing gets unstretched and plugged in and everything, if you hang it and pull it, you're not going to break the connection inside of the box. And that's what those wire glands do. They tighten up on the cables and they secure them into place, and they're not going to pull away and break loose from the inside there.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if something was to go wrong, one of the reasons one customer asked, he said, "How come you got your unit in such a big box?" Well, it's a 16-inch square box, but I got these little, I call them sausage fingers that I have, and I don't like putting them down in tight places. So I like to have as much room as I can to get in and work on things. So I made the lid a screw down lid on the top, and I made the back panel the same way. The front panel and the end panels are all brad nailed onto the base and to each other to keep everything together. But the back panel and the top panel are removable. If somewhere down the road you need to get in and replace the solid state relay, or if one of the indicator lamps goes out or something and needs to be replaced or something, I just made it where it's easy to get inside of it and get it replaced. And the fan is wired to output number 4. So if you're using just if you decide to plug an accessory into output number 3, of course with Mach 3 you got M7 and M8 command codes for the outputs and everything. And go ahead and turn on number 4 so that the fan will come on, and you can get that up and going. And if you got a second, I just kind of wanted to show real fast how this thing is going to work. And actually got another computer sitting off to the side here beside the webcam here that I think is out of the screen here. But let me go ahead and plug a couple of things in here for you right fast.
Okay, and while you're doing that, I'll remind folks, because I don't think I mentioned it before, but if you have a question that you'd like to ask Stacy about anything he's showing tonight, or just a question in general, just if you would put it in the comments. And well, where'd it go? Let me turn that off for a second. There it is. Just put a Q in front of it. That way, my buddy Russ won't have a hard time finding it, and he'll tag them for me, and we'll get your questions answered for you.
Okay, if you notice, the first thing that came on when I plugged it in are your 2 power light indicators. That lets you know as soon as you plug in the main plug that everything is powering on and on there. Right now, the fan, I don't know if y'all can see that, but it is not turning. It is not on. Let me just open up Mach 3 here right fast. And we're going to go to the MDI screen. And we're going to go ahead, and I've got for the sake of sound, I didn't want to hook up a router in here because I got 2 little 10-pound burglar alarms in there. And if I do something that makes a lot of noise, they're going to start barking and racing off down the chain. So I've got my DeWalt battery charger in here, and it's got a little red LED light to light up whenever it's on and charging. So we're going to take the plug, and like I said, these receptacles, you can put in anything up to 120 volts and 15 amps is their max. So we're going to plug into output 3 or output number 4 there, and we'll go back here to Mach 3, and we'll hit M8 for that command code. And as y'all can see, the red LED light on the battery charger is on and flashing. So now we have current going to that accessory, and I don't know if y'all can see or not, but the fan is on and definitely churning. I went with 2 because, you know, most of the time, if you got accessories hooked up, if you're running a wood router, chances are you're going to be running a dust collector on it. You may have a shoe or something attached to your router, and you would have a need for 2, and that way you can plug it into output 3 and output number 4. And there's 2 wires coming off the front to go to output 3 and output 4 on your G3 CNC controller. On the original and the new one, it works for either one, and it'll work through Mach 3 or Mach 4 with your M codes, the way you set up your outputs in your Mach 3 settings. So you can plug in, like I said, your wood router, and you can control your regular wood router through Mach 3 with this and everything. And so I like it. I think it's a great product to add to the line, and you know, I think it's you know, it's a much needed item. If you got a spindle, you can run your shop vac for your vacuum, and if you got a liquid cooled spindle and you want to have the water pump come on with Mach 3, then you can plug in your coolant pump into one of them, your shop vac into the other, and hit M7 and M8, and both of them will come on, and they'll work, and everything will be rocking and rolling there with you. So let me go ahead and hit M9 to turn those off. and you can see the red light went off, and now the fan is off, and only fans you hear running is on the unit itself. So let's turn that off. But the plugs are rigid. Um, they don't move when you plug them in or unplug them, so they're mounted very well in there. Um,
Stacy,
so
we have a question we can catch
sure.
her, I think, from Mark Lindsay.
Uh,
Since you're on right there where you're at, he says, "Is this a speed controller as well as a switch?"
this is just a switch only. I do have a speed controller, and I also do have the option in the room. I can build this thing. That's actually the speed controller is actually the next item that I'm going to be showing. Um,
Yeah, this one I guess would be more like if you had a router to plug in that had a variable speed on it, a little dial on the router itself.
no, that one does not have that.
Well, I mean that
Yeah,
thing there, it's just to give power to a router. It's not
correct.
going to
Yeah,
control
yeah.
the speed. So I mean, if you would plug a router in,
Mhm.
like say you had a little DeWalt that had the dial right on the router itself,
Right, right. A high
that
touch
would
or
be
one of
ideal
those.
for that kind of a router.
Yeah, it'll just turn it on and turn it off through. It's just going to send the power to the switch and turn it on through when you tell Mach 3 to turn it on so you can power it up from the keyboard there. But it's not going to control um, the speed of a regular wood router through this unit. There's no um, switch or adapter or anything for that. That's one thing you cannot do with it is control the speed of it.
Okay.
So, like I said, I think that's it's a good product, and I think it's one that is needed and one that people will use.
Here's another question that you can catch here. Earl asks, so it will turn on your router and dust collection in the tool pass using the M codes.
Correct. You can go to and you can manipulate that. On my original controller and on the new one, I got 3 and 4 set up as just universal outputs, and of course, output number 1 is for your VFD for the forward switch on those. So, um, when you go in and set it up, your M7, M8 command codes will turn on output 3 and 4 the way that I have it set up when I send you the file and everything for it. So just turn those on or set them up to start up when you start Mach 3, and it'll come on and turn everything on for you.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one you might want to take a look at.
Mm-hmm. Uh, they will be on there by the end of the day tomorrow. My technical person, my website specialist is my son who's getting his electronics degree in college, and he had a very busy week and kind of jerked the ball on me and didn't get them fixed on there like I asked him to here this week. So so they're not up there right now. All the pictures is done. He does a great job of photographing and editing and everything for me, and he's all about that kind of stuff and knows a lot of it. So they will be on there before the end of the day tomorrow night. So
Yeah, and you sent me some pictures. Let me show this right quick because I can
that one,
probably.
correct. That one is the same one here. It's unfinished, and that's how it will ship out.
Yeah, but this is a little closer look, and then I think I've also got a side picture here that shows
The fan.
the fan there as
Right.
well.
And this accessory unit is only $85. And you get, like I said, you get 2 controllers or 2 um, output switches on there, 2 independent output switches. And again, the only thing, and I'll have it on the website, but just to aid in cooling, just whether you're using output number 4 or not, because that's the relay that the fan is wired to, go ahead and make sure you turn on output number 4 when you use it, and that way the fan gets turned on, and it provides some extra cooling for it, especially if you're on a 5, 6, 7, 8 hour carve or something like that, and then it's going to be running a while. Make sure you got that fan on and everything. But they will be on the website before the end of the day tomorrow and everything. So they will be on there, and
Okay.
they will ship. They're going to ship USPS, and we'll ship it anywhere. It'll be a $20 shipping charge on it, and everything. So I think it's a pretty good value for what it is. The next item that we came up with, and it's actually the one that's it's going to be on the giveaway here, the free giveaway. This is actually the unit that is going to be given away. This
And
is
let me interrupt you just a second there, since you mentioned in the giveaway. Let me remind folks that if they want in on the giveaway for the spindle controller that he's holding there, you want to put hashtag G3CNC in the chat. And I will go ahead and set up the giveaway tool and start collecting those. And we will be giving that away a little later in the show. And then I'll also be giving away our normal giveaway that is sponsored by Cadence Manufacturing. We'll be giving away a Jenny bit tonight too. So we'll get to that one a little bit later. But for right now, make sure you put hashtag G3CNC. I'll leave that up there and get the giveaway tool set up. And go ahead, Stacy. Didn't mean to interrupt.
You're fine, Dave. Thank you, sir. Basically, this is a manual spindle controller. Quick specs on it. It's in a PVC weather-sealed box to keep any moisture and dirt out of there and everything. It's in a 4-inch square, 2-inch deep box. Quick dimensions here on the mounting holes here. From the top of the box to the bottom of this lower tab is only 3¼ inches. So if you wanted to take this and mount it to your table, which I know a lot of people use a 2x4 wood frame table, it should fit up there nice and snug, and those tabs should get within the 2x4 if you wanted to connect it to the side of your table. And this was the second item that I had a lot of questions about since the very beginning. Because people wanted to know if there was a way they could control a VFD spindle without having to go back and forth to the keyboard. And I know Dave can probably speak to this. And oh, by the way, since this is a PVC box, it's in Dave's favorite color, this metal gray. So
Machine tool gray.
Yes, sir. I remembered that from the first time you said how much you liked the box and the color that's on the box and everything.
Yeah,
so
I like that. It's one of my favorite colors.
We got it. We got it on this controller as well and everything. So it's there. But anyway, what this thing will allow you to do is just simply to manually adjust your speed. This will bypass the controller because this thing will wire up directly into your VFD. I have the My Sweetie Hunyang VFD, and I have right here, this is my spindle. I took it off the router out there and brought it in here for tonight. Took the cover off and everything up here. But this is my 1.2 kilowatt. This is an air-cooled spindle, the big square body one, big heavy square body. I've tested it with it. I'm going to also be posting some general setup specs and everything for the Hunyang VFDs controller there as well. Um, and I'll also will have, if you buy this controller, what you need to change the settings to in the VFD to get this thing to work. And again, there's two cables coming out. Again, we put the same wire glands on this unit as we did on that one. That's going to lock in your cables so you can't pull them loose and break connections in here. You have an on-off switch, and then you're going to have a minimum maximum speed control switch right here and everything. And if y'all want to give me just a quick second, I already have another one wired up over here, and
Okay.
I'll go ahead and let me go ahead and actually I'll just go ahead and set this over here. Let me I got too many cables over here, Dave.
And I can tell you, Stacy, I appreciate you going to the trouble to setting all this stuff up for the show, because I know how much trouble it is to drag all that equipment and stuff in some place to show it like that. So we appreciate you taking the time to get all this set up for us.
Oh, that's no problem at all, man. I was glad to do it, and I really appreciate you giving me the time and asking me to come on and show these here. Okay, the VFD is on and operating. I've got it set to show RPMs, and right now it's flashing 0. I don't know if I hope everybody can see that okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wired up down here. The on-off switch, there's two connections that it goes to. The speed control is a 3-wire cable, and there's 3 places that it attaches to here in the VFD, and I've got all of that listed. If you buy one of these, you'll get complete instructions and told exactly where to put each wire. Once you turn your VFD on, again, this bypasses your controller. This is a direct connection between the box and your VFD. Simply flip the switch on, and it'll take a couple of seconds and it'll be on. And if y'all want to watch the spindle over there, when you start rotating the dial, it comes on immediately. And you can see we're right about 5,000 RPMs there. And we can kick this thing on up. We're about 10,000 there. And we can and there went my tape. 24,000 RPMs was too much for the
Yeah, that's only about 20,000 RPM tape.
yeah. And so you can see when you max it out, you're going to be at 24,000 RPMs. And let me kind of dial this back so I won't have to yell over it. But this thing will allow you, if you're cutting, and Dave, you can speak to this. If you're cutting hard maple, or if you're cutting oak or hickory or walnut, sometimes you need to, with whatever you're carving or cutting, you need to adjust that speed, and you might have a little blowout or something. And the beauty of this is you can have it mounted right there to the table, and you don't have to leave the table and run to your computer and change the speeds and look away from your project and look back and look back and forth to see what you're doing. This item will allow you to stand there in front of your workpiece while you're cutting and be able to go ahead and adjust your speed on the fly. And I know a lot of people like to be able to do that. I know at work with our, I'm going to unplug this thing here right fast. I know at work on our big commercial, we have, like I said, 3 high-def plasma CNC machines, and they're like 12-foot by 40-foot long tables that can hold rather large pieces of sheets of steel. And I know our control boards out there have speed controls where the operator can change the speed of the of the torch and everything, and the speed that it's cutting the inches per minute and everything, and adjust the speed. So whether you're using a wood router or cutting plastic or whatever, it's just nice to have something like that at your fingertips where you can sit there and just change it. On the fly right there. If you get run into a hard spot or something, you need to slow it down. You can just turn the dial and drop it down and see it displayed on your VFD there. And so I think it's a good thing. This unit will ship by USPS also, and it'll run $55 for this unit. And on either one of these units, if you order it, I'm going to have it set up. If you order either one of these items with a new unit, it'll ship in that box, and you can add it on. I'll have it set up. You can add it on as an add-on, and it's only going to be about really just for the additional weight. It is only going to be around $5-7 bump um, in your shipping cost. You won't pay the same shipping costs as if you order these individually.
Mm-hmm.
So if you order it with the unit, you will have a little bit um, of a break on the shipping. And I'm probably going to go ahead and have it set up with, if you do it with the unit, I'll probably knock a few dollars off of the price of these if you order it with the unit as well. So
Okay.
there'll be definite cost savings there for you if you order it with a unit that you're buying. But that's a great little tool, and like I said, that's the one that we're going to give away. And again, it comes with the shielded cable. 18 gauge wiring is what they're made out of, and you'll get just like with this one right here, you'll get 8 feet of cable that'll come with it. And that'll be listed on the website as well as one of the product features. And by chance, if you needed a few more feet than that, if you needed a little bit longer connection, um, then just let me know. Email me at g3cnc at yahoo.com and ask. And if it's only 10 feet or something, I'll probably just go ahead and throw that in and just build it with extra cable length for you. And everything. But the giveaway tonight, um, it comes with a standard 8 feet of cable and everything. So good unit to have. I thought I was going to have to change the way I built these things because here several months ago, just like everything else in the world, they came up with a way to up the price on these things, and they just about priced me out of the market being able to use them. But one of the manufacturers came back down on the price and got it back down to where it was and where I can still afford to buy these things and to use them and everything. So we're going to keep with this nice PVC box, and you can kind of see. I don't know if you can see there or not, but you can see the gasket there. It'll come with a weather seal strip, so it keep moisture and everything out of the controls and everything for you. So again,
Okay.
great little. I think that's a
Yeah,
great little.
that's a good looking little unit. I got a question here. Let's take right quick. Harry Ragland asked, other than the Gattons, and he's talking about Gatton CNCs, what CNC systems are your big customers?
I've got several people that you see them all over eBay and everything, and these Chinese, um, smaller Chinese routers. And I mean, they're constructed nice. They're good, heavy aluminum and everything. But you've seen these little black box controllers with a sloped face on them and everything. And a lot of those things, by the way they're made, I don't think they're made that well. They tend to die out. And I've had probably a dozen people that have emailed me and said, "Hey, I got one of these, and it just doesn't work. I want something more reliable, and but I want to use my motor." And that's fine. That's how come there's a a purchase option on it where you can buy the unit itself without the motors, and I'll send you information about. Um, you got to know where A plus, A minus, B plus, B minus is on your wires, and tell you how to wire it up so they're in line with the drivers and everything, so they connect properly and the motors will turn and work. But yeah, I've sold at least a dozen of those to people that have those units, and they're simply just replacing the controller that came with them.
Yeah, and I wanted to. The one reason why I wanted to take that question is I want people to understand that what you're about to show here is the a plug and play
Hmm.
CNC controller. It's not just for a Gatton CNC or a GarageWorks CNC or anything. It can be used for any CNC. Either somebody that's building their own and just doesn't want to fool with electronics, because I know I used to be that way. There's a lot of people that uh, you know are mechanically inclined and want to build their own CNC, but they don't know much about the electronics. This is the perfect option for somebody like that. Or if you've got a good CNC and the other controller just died, and or maybe it was kind of the weak link in the whole setup before anyway, and this is a good plug and play type system.
And I have thank you for saying that, Dave. And I have replaced several um, of the old Xylotex units, and I've had people email me pictures of their units and say, "Will this work with this?" And just what Dave said, it doesn't really matter about your what type of table or what type of kit it was. And I think Mark just said it worked great with a home built. There's several home built units that people have sent me pictures of and say, "Will this work with this?" And just like what Dave was saying, this is the drivers and the motors and the motion controller board. That's it. Wherever your motors are mounted, it don't matter if it's a home built or Dave's machine or anybody's machine. This is all the connection between the motors and the drivers. So you can use it on any home built. I've sold them to several people that have home built units, and for whatever reason, what they had originally wasn't working properly, and they wanted to upgrade it and replace it. And it's probably over the since I've started this, probably 70% have been Gatton users, Gatton builders, and the other 30% have been um, people replacing some of the Chinese units that they got with their Chinese routers, or um, they got a home built unit and they're just getting started, and they wanted to buy, like Dave's saying, the plug and play unit. So you're correct in that you can use it with just about anything.
Hmm.
I must be one of the lucky ones because I've still got that Xylotex kicking in this Texas heat. So far, so good, you know.
Keep them fingers crossed. I
I'm
got
telling you, Jerry had a comment about that, and mine is still kicking.
I
Yeah,
got
here
I
was
got
this
a hot
question.
water heater out there that it goes on the fritz every now and then, but it seems to just kick back on and keep working, and it's on 22 years right now. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Jerry
lucky.
was asking, are these temp heat rated? He says we found the older unit, and I know he's talking about the Xylotex there, could not handle the Texas heat.
right. Yeah, these when I go through, let me just take the time here to say, um, I'm very quality oriented, and I see value in spending money in some areas, and as long as I think it gives me a good return, um, and I want to pass that on to the customers, and I hope you see that in the pricing of the products that I offer and sell. One of those was when I switched to this motor cable here. Um, this is one. It was taking a whole lot of time to build these things out of to build these things by hand. This was probably the most expensive upgrade that I did on the unit, and I did it fairly early. I buy out of Asia, and in my past experience in sales and everything, I was heavily involved with purchasing, so I know how to buy, I know how to source material, and I was able to source these out. And these are 20 gauge. They're double shielded cables. It's the same gauge that CNC Router Parts uses, or Avid CNC uses on their motor cables now. Um, they got the real nice one piece molded connectors, GX16 connectors that plug in. Um, these wind up over my cost of hand building these. These were like almost $20 for a set of four with the unit. And I didn't raise my price at all. I just wanted to add value to my customers and just give them a nice, well-built cable that's going to last. So that's the reason why I pulled the trigger and did that. And on my units, you can do the math and calculate, cubic feet just by taking width, length, and height and calculating it. But I got two the fans that I use, one blowing in and one pulling out and exhausting it back out and everything. But they are 56 cubic feet per minute um, volume fans, and so I think that box is around just under 2 cubic feet. So I've, since I've been selling these, I haven't had the first complaint about the driver burning out or not working or the unit overheating. So when I designed it, I went overkill with it, and there's a few fans that I could have bought, that were down around 18, 19, 20 cubic feet per minute production fans, but these are top of the line fans. They put out a lot of air. They're rated for 40,000 hours of usage, and so that's what I chose to put in here. Again, it's I haven't had any complaints at all about them whatsoever, and it's just more value and something that's important for the survival of the unit. So I went for top of the line and didn't spare any expense on those. And in the new unit that we're about to show, it's the exact same fans that's inside of that unit as well.
Yeah.
So,
And I want to get on this question here so we can clarify this. Troy says on your site it says you're out of stock, and you're out of stock on the old ones, right?
yeah, I've got. I was reordering a bunch of components, and I appreciate everybody's business, but I kind of hit a lull, and when I hit the point where I needed to reorder everything, and that's when I was in mode to get this stuff built and to get it ready. And so I just kind of just shut everything down for about 3 weeks or so I can get all of this stuff done and focus on it, because it was something that I really wanted to do and something that I really wanted to offer to the customers. So I just took that time and that opportunity to get it shut down. But by tomorrow, everything's going to be up and going um, and everything. So yeah, everything is going to be good to go and just full blown on and everything tomorrow.
So like from tomorrow when it gets up on your website, from here on out, it's going to be the new version.
Well, I'm going to have both for right now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm going to let the customers kind of decide. I can tell you where my heart's at. My heart is with the new one. Um,
I think a lot of hearts are going to be with the new one once you show what the difference
right,
is.
sales kind of tells the history. Will tell the story of what it is, and so right now the plan for right now is to keep both of them on the site and offer both of them. But I really hope that through the sales history that the new one is gonna win out and everything. But since we're talking about that, let's just kind of go ahead. Let me set this VFD aside, and my earpiece cable isn't as long as my microphone cable is. Every time I stand up, I pull it away. And what the hoopla is over the new one, that Dave's been alluding to. We got a brand new unit out. I mentioned at the very first. I kind of wanted to go high end, with a more stable motion controller board, one that offered more options, more tech support. Some of the Japanese stuff or Chinese stuff is good. The one I'm using is good at work. Um, you can plug it in; it's going to work. It's going to do what it says it's going to do, but it's kind of limited. It limits you to Mach 3 only. Um, Customer support for anybody is kind of non-existent. Um, I know who to email over in China and try to get answers and try to get things figured out, but that's kind of it's a long process to get it done. And I had it really when I wanted to upgrade, and that's kind of been on my brain and in my heart since I started. Um, I kind of narrowed it down to UC, CNC, and Pokies. And I finally settled on UC, CNC. I contacted both of them since I had an established site where they could see what I was doing and know that I was legit. I got to say, Balaz at the UC CNC really stepped up and kind of welcomed me to use their product. Um, we sent drawings back and forth to each other, electronic drawings, to get everything kind of mapped out. I told him what I wanted it to be able to do and the functions that I needed it to do. Um, he got back with me and said it would, and I think we probably had Dave. I'm wanting to say probably 60 emails back and forth. Um, and like I said, I made some drawings and sketches, some by hand, some on the computer. Sent him over. Said, "Is this what you're talking about on wiring?" We got wiring down each individual thing. If we look at the front of this new controller, it looks just like the old one, the original one, except there's no USB port on the front of it. We have a Ethernet plug-in on the side over here. It's got a weatherproof cap that'll screw on. So if you choose to pull your Cat 5 or Cat 6 cable out, after you use it, you can replace this cap over it and keep dust and grime and everything from getting inside of your connection port there. Um, but we got the same spindle connection. We got the same e-stop connection, touch probe connection. The limit is actually limited homing switch. It's got a 4-pin connector in it. And on the connector piece, I got two wires coming out. One is marked for homing switches, and one is marked for the limit switches, same as on the original unit. You still got your same outputs to plug into. Go ahead and get these out of the way so you can hopefully see a little bit better. And if you notice, there's one that I replaced up here. Says laser on it. That was one of the criteria when I was picking a new motion controller board was, as Davis has shown on here so many times, so many people, so many hobbyists are going to the lasers now. I wanted to be able to have a connection for the laser. And I do want to be completely honest, and I don't have a laser yet, so that's the only thing that I haven't tested with it. I've tested the spindle, which I'll show you the spindle operating on it here shortly. But all the outputs work. My output, my accessory controller works. It works on this. I had it plugged into it a while ago. E-stop, no issues. Touch plate, no issues. Spindle, no issues. I don't own a laser, so the laser is the only thing that I haven't been able to test on it. Um, but I'm just tickled to death. I chose the UC CNC, and I chose their latest controller, which is the AXBB/E motion controller. It's an all-in-one controller. And yeah, thank you, Dave. And what I mean by that, if you look at some of the other high-end ones that's on the market, um, the Warp 9 and others, you still have to use a breakout board with them. The breakout board is inside of that unit. And so that's all that's inside of the controller box is that unit. So there's no additional breakout board that is required to run this thing. Even the other UC-CNC products, which are really good, you got the, forgive me, I don't know the model numbers of it, but you got the yellow one, that runs off of an Ethernet cable, and you got the regular circuit board one, the red one. And both of those still have to have a breakout board with them. And so I chose this one, and I like this one because it's all in one. And there's no extra cost to breakout boards that I had to buy with it. And it does everything that I wanted it to do. It offers the laser connection. It's got up to 8 outputs on it. I've got 4 of them occupied. There's still 4 open outputs if you wanted to add anything to it down the road. There's still, I think, I got 2 inputs that are still available on it, and that you can add something to if you wanted to. And the only thing that I'm not providing on the original one, I did add the USB cable that I shipped for free because it's got that odd square one printer cable is what I like to call it, the printer USB cable. And they're kind of hard to find, so I shipped that out with the original unit. But a lot of people have Ethernet cables lying around, so I'm not going to ship one out with this unit. It'll run off of a standard Cat 5 or Cat 6 Ethernet cable, and a lot of people have those lying around the house already.
I probably have about a dozen of them just in this room.
So for that reason, I'm not going to ship one out with this unit. And the other thing that I like about it is that UC-CNC and a guy by the name of Balaz usually answers all of their tech service support. Like I said, he was wonderful, absolutely wonderful with me, and worked with me, corrected a few drawings. I had a couple of things nailed down right the first time. And so we, like I said, we got together, we got all the wiring down to make sure it was right. And and thanks to that, when I plugged it in and tested it the first time, we hit everything right out of the gate. And so I'm thankful for that. So you got, as a customer, you got them that you can email directly. They even have a form, their UC-CNC discussion board forum that you can go to. And I've been on it, and there's some really smart people that use CNC products and use them and have a wealth of knowledge. And before, that wasn't available. And that was one of the boxes that I wanted to check with a new unit, was to make sure there was plenty of good tech support out there that people go to and ask questions about. And the other thing is, and Dave, I remember on your last site, you used to have a discussion forum board on that site. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at one time you did a poll as to which motion controllers programs people like to use, and I think Mach 3 came out on top. And but the
by a long shot, yeah,
and UC-CNC was right in there. And I've had a lot of questions about people asking me, will the original controller work on Mach 4? And it's strictly just a Mach 3 only motion controller board. It operates on Mach 3 only. And with this one, I really like it too, because it can operate on Mach 3, it can operate on Mach 4. And if you want to use the UC-CNC controller software, you can use that with it. So all three are available for you to choose, and I just think it's. I'm really been pleased so far with the UC CNC products, and um, and I just think it's a good high end card, motion controller card that you can use, and and I know Dave raves all the time about the UC 100 and how steady it is, and that's what I was looking for. So I'm pleased to have this. I'm pleased to uh, be able to offer it and sell it, and I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a good addition to my line of products and everything. And Dave, you were sharing something with me a few weeks ago about it that I wasn't aware of. About the UC CNC software, the motion controller software, and how you have to use the serial number off of your product and everything
Hmm.
to tie it into that software to get it to operate. And if you could tell us I guess a couple of minutes on how that works.
Okay, just I'm just going to reference the UC 100 because I've had three or four of those things because I have several different machines.
Hmm.
But those things are great because you can buy one of those, and if you're running Mach 3, it'll work just fine. But if you decide you want to use the UC CNC controller software, which is also great software, it to me it's a little confusing on their website. I've talked to them about it, and it every time I go look, it's still confusing. But the software, I think, and I don't know, I haven't looked in a while, but it used to be $60. So you think, okay, $60. So you
Right.
buy it, but it only works with one of their other products, which would be the UC 100, UC 300, UC
Right.
400 ETH, and I guess this
The
board that you're talking, the AX, whatever it is, the one you're talking about. I haven't memorized that one yet. But anyway, so I guess if you were going to use the UC CNC software with this, they would need to
right.
know the serial number. I'm assuming that's how they would do it. Because
Right.
I know I already had bought the UC 100 and I was using it with Mach 3. Well, then when I wanted to buy the other software, and basically the only reason I was buying it is because to do a show and show people there's other options out there. Well, when I bought it, I'm like, okay, send me the license file. And they go, well, you have to send us this serial number.
Right.
So it's all based around a certain serial number. So if I have, in fact, my software, I had at one time I had four of those UC 100 motion controllers, but my software would only run with one of them, and that's the one that had the right serial number.
If you could post that picture back up of the motion controller board, if you don't mind, Dave.
Sure.
Okay, if you'll look right here in the very top center of that motion controller
Wait a
board.
minute. Let me see if I can. I don't know how I got carried away here. Okay, there we go.
Okay, you'll see it right there on the right in the middle, right above the barcode. It says serial number, and it's printed on there, just on right below it there.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
that is on the motion controller board. You can just, if you choose to use the UC CNC software, as Dave was telling you about, only thing you have to do is just take the lid off of this new controller, and your serial number for your motion controller board will be right there on the top. There's nothing blocking it inside of the box, and you're going to see it, and so you'll be able to see it and be able to give it to them and get your software operating without any issues. So it's on each one of the controllers, and it's just right there for you.
Okay.
So if you want it, that's where it would be. But yeah, I'm excited about it. And if you look online on the different websites that sell those things, um, That board is going to retail anywhere from about $170 up to $200 for that motion controller board by itself. I put the same 32-bit DSP, the newest technology motion controller boards, the DM556s, which that means that the highest voltage rating is 5.6 volts. The same drivers are going to be in that box. The same motors are being used. But like I said, that's about $170 to $200 motion controller board. And I'm very conscious of the fact that I'm dealing with the hobby market out there, the hobbyist market, and I've fought and continue to fight very hard to keep prices in line as much as I can. And sometimes I take a little bit less money, less profit on one to try to keep them in line. And that's kind of what I'm doing with this one. I'm going to be selling this unit for the original unit sells for $729.99. And I'm going to sell you this unit for $829.99. So that's
Okay.
a $100 increase from the original to this one, and and you're getting a nice motion controller board in there. So we're, like I said, I'm just really conscious of that, and with our economy being what it is and everything, and it's kind of getting a little bit harder for people to part with their money. I'm just trying to make this thing as affordable as I can, and in that it is plug and play, but Dave can tell you about this. There are some drivers for UC CNC that you have to download first from their website. And I'll give you directions and the link to where to go to it and everything. But and it's not that hard. It's probably about a 6 to 10 minute thing, depending on the speed of your computer and everything. But you have to download those drivers. It's free. It's not anything that's going to cost you any money or anything. You just simply download it onto your computer, and then it'll work. There's two green lights, and when it powers up, that they'll be on the motion controller board, and there's a blue LED light in the middle of those two on that. And when it connects to and it reads those drivers, it'll pop on and come on, and you're good to go. So that's about the only thing where mine, you just downloaded the file and put it in your Mach 3 folder, and you put in the R&R motion .dll file into your plugins folder, and so you didn't really have to download anything, but that's the only additional step that you have to do to get this thing to work. I'll still send the same profile setup file with you when I email you to all your instructions and everything, so you can take and plug that into your Mach 3 folder and everything. So that's about the only additional step that you have to do. And like I said, most people have a Cat 5 or Cat 6 Ethernet cable line around, so I'm going to let you get that out for yourself and get that on your own.
Okay, so just to kind of go over this real quick, the main differences between this new one and the old one is, I guess, first off, is the big difference is the old one only worked with Mach 3.
Correct.
And this one will work with Mach 3, Mach 4, or UC CNC control
Correct.
software. Still comes with the stepper motors and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, about as plug and play as you can get one. And let's see, there was something else I was thinking about. And the other big difference, of course, is instead of USB, this one is running with an Ethernet cable.
Right, which usually allows for a little bit higher speed and a little bit higher data transfer as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the most important thing is the easy access to their forums and to a whole lot of users and a whole lot more support out there as well, which I think is key.
Okay. All right, we've got we're running a little over an hour here, and we've got some questions. We're going to knock out these questions
All
real
right.
quick. Real quick, if you just joined us, you see the hashtag G3CNC that I have shown in the corner here. That's going to be the hashtag that you put in the chat for the uh, giveaway for the manual spindle controller that Stacy's holding up right there. So if you want to get in on that, put hashtag G3CNC in the live chat. And I've got the giveaway tool going over here. We've got about 36 entries so far, and we got way more than that watching. So if you want in on that drawing, put that hashtag in there. All
And
right,
Dave,
let's hit some of these questions real quick. We're going to, what'd you say, Russ?
He did.
Oh, okay. Would
I
you say?
was going to say, whoever wins this, if you just email me your shipping address and your name at my website, so that I can have that, it'll be shipped out Monday morning and headed down to you.
Okay. All right, we're going to go through these questions real quick. Chris Palmer asked, I just got here, so I don't know what we're talking about. I think that was a while ago. He probably
Right in
knows
the
by now.
beginning, yeah.
He says, but since you said I could ask anything, how hard is it to switch from Mach 3 to Mach 4? And I have a question for you, Chris. If you already have Mach 3 and you already have a license for Mach 3, why would you want to switch to Mach 4?
Exactly. There's Mach 3 is still made because it works, and they've already have it's been out there, and I know you can speak to this, Dave. It's been out there for so long, they've already worked out and hammered out most of the bugs in it, and they're still with Mach 4. They're still finding bugs. They're still having to hammer out and fix issues and everything. So Mach 3, I got several customers that run big production shops and in plastic and in metal, and they run Mach 3 all the time because it works. And,
Yeah. I would encourage Chris to go to the um, I guess it's the Newfangled Solutions website,
right.
and they have a chart where they say what all Mach 3 does and what all Mach 4 does, and how many computers you can run it on, and all that kind of stuff. The comparison charts. I would go take a good look at that before I spend money for Mach 4 if you've already got the license for Mach 3, which I'm assuming you do. All right, next question. Larry Brown says, will Mach 4 work with my Bob's Evo 3? Larry, a Bob's CNC is going to be running. I'm assuming if you have one of those, it's got the original controller stuff, and they run off of a Arduino type controller. So Mach 4 is not going to work with that, unless, of course, you're going to, do a whole new controller thing, but if you're talking about using the existing stuff, Mach 4 is not going to run a Bob CNC. Let's see. Earl Walker says, okay, I think we've answered that. No parallel printer port or USB. It's all Ethernet stuff
Right.
now.
The original unit is USB driven, and the new unit will be Ethernet driven. And it's right here. Here's my Ethernet cable right here. The port is right on the side, right below the top.
Okay. Raymond says, are there removable dust filters in your units? I guess he's talking about the fans.
There's metal screens. They are stainless steel screens that are on the outside of the box. If you go to the website, my original controller has the picture. You can see the finger guards and everything on the outside of the box. So it's not a foam one, because the foam ones, there's been too many people that say in this industry that in the computer industry that they kind of restrict the airflow coming in to the fan. And so I like to use the metal ones because they're a little bit more open, and you can still unbolt them and take them off. Or really, the best thing to do if you see a little bit of dust and debris starting to collect on them, just pull out your shop vac and hit them and just suck it right off. You're not going to pull them out because they're metal. They're made of stainless steel. The screen is aluminum. The frame is stainless steel, and you're not going to bend them. They're rugged. They're made to last, and which is why I selected them and buy them. You're not going to dent them if you put a shop vac right on them. So if you see some dust on it, just throw your shop vac on it and just clean them off. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. All right. Brooks Martin says, aren't there any U.S. suppliers?
If you're referring to the UCCNC motion controller board, uh, they're very strict about. Um, Let me just back up and say, for one, that they are excited uh, that I'm building a unit that's going to feature their product in it, and they've been, like I said, they've been extremely supportive to me and extremely responsive to all my questions, and um, and working with me on figuring out the wiring and all of that kind of stuff. But they do want me to go through current distributors here in the U.S., which they have several of them. They actually contacted them for me, and they contacted me, and we've hammered out a good price to buy those controllers. And so, yes, they when I buy them, they're not coming in from overseas where UC CNC's home office is. They're already at a supplier here in the States. So it'd take me about maybe a week or less to get them when I buy them. And due to the cost, I'm not going to buy no more than one or two of them at a time. Just simply because you could easily burn about 3 to 4 grand and buying those things pretty quick. So and when you got to get power supplies in from Asia and that sort of thing, and you're buying, and that's the other thing is it requires with the original unit requires two separate power supplies. The main 48 volt that runs all the drivers and everything, and then you got a 24 volt that runs the motion controller board and all of your inputs and outputs. This one adds a third smaller 5 volt power supply. So I got three. Not only is it is the motion controller board a higher price unit, but there's also a third power supply that's inside of the box as well.
Okay. Moving on here. Chris asked, what stepper driver is in it? A Gecko 540?
No, that's the UC CNC. It's the AXBBE, and it's their latest one on their website. It's the all-in-one motion controller board. And like I said, Dave showed a picture of it here just a few minutes ago. But it's a good motion controller board. I'm pleased with it.
Mm-hmm.
The G540 is a good one. I almost pulled the trigger on that one, but I'll tell you why I didn't. Is because the G540 uses their very first drivers that they made, and you can't use anything. You got to stay on your voltage on your motors. You got to stay under 4 amps. You can't go above 4 amps on them. And so that really reduces the size of your motors down to under 400 ounce per inch. If you want to maximize the power of your stepper motor, you got to have a reduced voltage, and and it's a darn good driver. It works, and people sing their praises all the time. But I chose to go with a larger, heavier motor that's going to last. And I wanted the larger drivers in case somebody wanted to step up to a NEMA 34 down the road. And so that's how come I didn't use the Gecko. But it's the UC CNC is what's in the new one here.
Okay. Let's see. George Bubba wants to know about the pricing. I guess that'll all be on the website as of tomorrow or so.
Yes, sir, and it's going to be just like the original unit. The e-stop is still included. You get all your motor cables. You get all your accessory cables already made and come with it for limit homing switches. For the e-stop will be with the e-stop unit. You'll have a cable for the touch probe. and you'll have your output cables and everything. And if you buy this unit, then the cable will come. The ends will already be made on if you buy the accessory controller for the outputs here. Um, but all the motors are the same that's on the specs on there right now. I'm not changing out the motors or going with a cheaper motor or anything like that. And that's another thing. I just like in the guitar world with an electric guitar and your pickups that's in there. The more windings you have on it, the you can create different sounds with your pickups. Well, the same thing in a stepper motor. You can get on eBay or whatever, and you can find a very cheap stepper motor. But if you look at the phase inductance, which has to do with the amount of windings inside of that motor, the higher the phase inductance, the cheaper they are because it's more resistance because it doesn't have as many windings, and you actually lose power. Gecko has the math formula on their website to figure up all of that to your power supply, and so does CNC Nuts. The gentleman Peter,
Peter
uh,
Pasquello. Yep.
yes, sir. He has a worksheet on his website that you can download for free. And I pay extra on my motors to get them wound to where my phase inductance is down under 3. And I've actually got his spreadsheet on my computer and everything, and I can show you, which is one of the reasons why I pay more. Again, here's quality over um, the money issue. I use a 48 volt 10 amp power supply to power the drivers and the motors. I don't use a 36 volt power supply, which I could get a whole lot cheaper. But the reason why, when you do that spreadsheet, which I'll go ahead and put that on my website so you can see it. With the lower phase inductance and everything, when you put it on the spreadsheet, it comes out to, I think, 51, 51 volts is what it should require to run my motors at 100% capacity. Well, the drivers will limit your voltage input, and they're limited to 48 volts. So I run a 48 volt power supply, and if you just do the math and simply divide 48 into the 51 that it says it needs, that's 95%. So the way you would read that is that with my power supply and those motors, you're running at 95% power that those motors have to give you. And if I drop that down to a 36 volt power supply, you're going to drop down to below 70% of the power that those motors can give you. So I put the appropriate power supply in there that the motors require. And when I order my motors, it usually takes a couple of weeks to get them shipped out. But I get them custom wound to get the phase inductance, which the data sheet for my motors is on the website under the documentation tab, and you'll see on there that phase inductance is below 3. When you see these cheap motors on eBay, look at the data sheet and look at the phase inductance. I guarantee you the cheap ones are always between about 6 and 9, and that means they cause a lot of resistance and they drain energy, and you don't get that much of the power out of those motors.
Okay. We're running out of time here, but I wanted to pick up this Chris. I guess he was talking about I'd switched. He was the one that asked about the Mach 3 versus Mach 4 thing. And he says I'd switch just so I could have a modern Windows computer and current version of Windows. I run Mach 3 with Windows 10, so I don't know what's the.
Yeah, I don't either. That's what I have on this computer right now, and it operates just fine. And like I said, it's to me, Dave, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Newfangled Solutions created Mach 4, I think more for a commercial shop, and that's running multiple tables and that sort of thing. And I think Mach 3 is more suited for the hobbyist and the small shop
Yeah.
user. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. If it was a bad product, they wouldn't be selling it. Is the
Yeah.
way I look at it.
Yeah. Okay, let's get through these last few questions. I know people are probably getting anxious for this giveaway, and we still got two of them to do here tonight. So, John says, why not put the board number on a label outside the box? I have a sneaking suspicion that everybody's going to want to open the box up and look inside it anyway.
You're right. Everybody does.
I know I would, and I did. so, yeah, I don't think that's going to be a biggie there. Okay, Earl, real quick, kind of off topic here, but he wants to know about the National Hockey League Nashville Predators on your monitor in the back.
Actually, you know what? That's actually not a monitor. This is actually a birthday present from Otis' son that I've been trying to get finished up here. I had these
cut.
Well, they're plasma. This one was plasma cut.
Okay.
At work, and he's a huge Predators fan. I screwed up and took him to a couple of games when he was about 4, and he's been in love with them ever since. And I've got the top of it sanded down. I'm going to mount it with some plastic standoffs on that board. I'm going to drill one in here, one here, and one about right here. And it'll stand off of the board and kind of give a 3D effect. And I'm going to have some backlights into it and everything. And but yeah, it's cool. And you know, it was cut out with a plasma machine. It's about 16.5 inches from the nose to the back of it here, and it's about just under about 10.25 inches tall from the bottom point up to the top by the ears here. But yeah, that is
okay. Yeah, cool. I can see because the way you had it leaned up back there, it looks like it was on a monitor.
You can tell it was plasma cut. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, that side gives it away.
Yeah, you got all your slag on the back side of it there. So
yeah,
that I got to clean off and everything. And but yeah, it's cool. I like it. I'm going to get this thing painted up for him and get it on there and everything. But yeah, it's cool. I like it. I know last week you had a question from somebody that was wanting to know if you could hook up a plasma to your machine, and you really have to have whatever you use. A system that's set up for plasma, because you got
it's a messy.
Yeah, you got gases that's got to go into it. You got amperage that's got to be controlled. You got torch height. If you don't have the right torch height, you're just going to blow up a piece of metal, and you're not going to get anything out of it at all. It looks like anything. So that's a totally different beast, and my unit's not set up and designed and built for that. So. Which I've had a couple of questions in the past, but it's not designed for plasma work.
Yeah. All right. It's got another question here. Will the new controller work with 32-bit and 64-bit Windows computer?
Yeah, I mean, that's really more of the control software that you're using and everything. But I think there's Mach 3 has plugins, if I'm not mistaken, Dave, for.
Yeah, I use 64-bit on mine with Mach 3.
Okay, all right, yeah. There's no
and finally, the last question here: can the G3 handle a rotary 4th axis?
That is that is the one thing that that was the only box that I couldn't check with this one. It's got prompts on the card on the inside. It's got places for 4 and then lasers. So there's not room for a 5th one. You can. I'm not sure what kind of card you would need, driver card, to put in there, but you can plug into beside the Ethernet port on the inside of it. There's a 25-pin plug-in, and there's a way that you can, I forget what kind of a card you need to add a 5th axis, but you can do it, but you got to buy a few additional things. And And Dave, I know you've showed videos of how people can do it by just
Yeah.
simply,
Well, I didn't want to butt in here, but
Yeah.
if the controller controls 4-axis,
Mhm.
you can make a rotary out of it.
Yeah,
It's a little more difficult because you have to kind of steal one axis that you're not using
right.
to set it up for a rotary. But using Mach 3, Mach 4, or UC CNC, you're going to have a separate machine profile for a rotary
Right.
than you are the other machine anyway. And with a rotary machine, a rotary axis, for example, when I ran my Gatton, I would pull the y-axis up, get it centered over the center line of the x-axis,
Right.
and then I didn't use my y anymore. So that gave me 2 motors I could use. I just unplugged one of them and switched the wiring, and then loaded in a different machine profile, and then I had the X, Z, and A. And
Right.
that's how I run my rotary. So it can be done. It's, as is, it'll be, a little more difficult, and it's not going to be plug and play for a 4th axis.
Right. Correct.
All right. That was the last of our questions, I think. I'm sure everybody's anxiously awaiting the drawing. Let me add our thing here to the screen here. Let me get us in here. I don't know why I'm not hitting. There we go. That's the one I was looking for. All right. So we've got, if you're just now joining, we'll give you a couple of minutes. You can see I've got the hashtag G3CNC in the corner there, and that's what you need to put in the comments to get entered into the drawing. So let's, we'll give them just a minute or two, and I don't know if we've got any other questions.
You have one right now. I just put it up there.
Dave says, will you do have a show on how to set up Mach 3 with Windows 64-bit? There's nothing to show. You install it, it works. It runs with Windows 64. There's nothing special that you have to do for it.
It's just a plug-in that ArtSoft Newfangled Solutions has that you just download, and it's on your computer, and it just goes with it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Brooks. We've and also don't let me while we're waiting on, I'm going to give folks a couple more minutes to get in on the free spindle controller that we're giving away tonight. But I do want to remind you folks, for those of you who have been loyal and hanging around here, Cadence Manufacturing Design sponsors our other giveaway that we do every week, and the hashtag for that one will be hashtag Jenny. We're going to be giving away one of these gorgeous original Jenny bits here.
Well, I tell you what, I got mine in my package, and they're almost too pretty to use. It's like you buy 2, you keep one up on the shelf to look at.
They are pretty, aren't they?
Pretty, man. They look
They
gold.
Russ, if it looks that pretty, I got to see what it's going to do.
I'm telling you, I don't want to mess it up.
Okay, so get in your hashtag Jennies. If you want in on the drawing for the bit, we'll do that immediately following the spindle control. And I think we're stuck on 37 here, so I'm going to call that good. And we're going to do the drawing here for the manual spindle controller. So good luck, everybody. And here we go.
Good luck.
Dan.
Dan.
Congratulations.
Dan, like I said earlier, if you will send me an email at g3cnc@yahoo.com and give me your shipping address, I will have it out through USPS on Monday for you.
All right.
Congratulations, Dan.
Congratulations, Dan, for sure. That is a nice little spindle controller. All right, let me readjust my Let's see if I can do this here. Bear with me a second. I'm now setting up for the second drawing. And like I said, it will be hashtag Jenny. We'll start collecting those. And we'll give you a couple more minutes to get in on that one. And anybody have any other questions? I don't think we missed any, did we? Russ,
No.
you did an outstanding job tonight filling in for my buddy Ryan.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, you did a great job.
I guess I did a good enough job because I started feeling a pain in the elbow just like his.
Oh no! Oh no! Man. Okay, Dan says, "Wow, that's really awesome." Yeah, congrats, Dan. Okay, it's still climbing a little bit on the Jenny bit, so I'll give it another a minute.
Thanks,
thank you, Earl. We appreciate all the kind words. We are running a long one tonight too, but we had a lot to cover. Stacy had a lot of great information, and it's got some cool new products. I'm pretty excited for him. That's he mentioned to me, like I said, we talked probably a few months ago now, and mentioned that he was working on something that was going to work with, Mach 3, Mach 4, and UC, CNC. And I said, yeah, that's going to be the ticket right there. Because a lot of people, for whatever reason, I'm a big fan of Mach 3, but a lot of people are like, that's old school. It's outdated, yada, yada, yada. And so if it's just Mach 3 only, they might shy away from it. But this is pretty cool that this one will run. And I'll bet you it'd probably run. There's probably some other controller software that I don't even know about that it will run with. But it'll run for sure with those three.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, you tell him, Troy. He says 61 watching and only 24 thumbs up. Come on, folks. Yeah. But all righty. I think we're still stuck at 41 here, so we're going to go do this on the Jenny bit. I'll show you the lovely picture one more time. There she is. And a big thanks to Cody Elkins at Cadence Manufacturing Design. He sponsors this free drawing every week now. Always have doing these different Jenny bits. I think last week we did the what was it, tapered ball nose, I think last week. It's a nice looking bit. Anyway, I think we're it jumped one, but we're going to go ahead and hit the draw button here, and good luck, everybody. And here we go. Denny Dockin. I think he's won before. I think. Maybe not, but that name sounds familiar. I think he might have won before. But anyway, congratulations, Denny. You are the proud winner of a Jenny bit tonight. So very cool. All righty. I think we're going to call this one a night here. And by the way, Denny, if you hadn't already won, I think you have, but if you hadn't already won before, make sure you contact. Let me show it over here, Cody at www.cadencemfgdesign.com, and give him your shipping information, and he'll get that out to you. All right. Any final words, Stacy?
I just want to say thank you for giving me the time to come on your show and show these products, and for your support and your long time service to the CNC hobbyist community, and building a darn good router.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But again, I want to make sure everybody understands this this is not a Gatton CNC plug and play controller.
Right,
It's any kind of CNC plug and
exactly,
play controller.
exactly.
And all these other little products that he's got, the accessory panel and let's see, what'd you call it? The accessory
Controller, yeah.
controller.
Mhm.
All these things can be used with any CNC.
Right.
So, all right. Well, I guess we're going to get out of here. Thank you all for sticking with us tonight. It's been a long one. They're dropping like flies now, I see. And once the giveaways are gone, it's takes off. So anyway, we're going to get out of here. Stacy, hang around. We'll chat here in the,
Okay.
in the green room a little bit. And we will see y'all next week. Have a great weekend. And everybody take care.